most of the time, my fights weren't with the kids, it was with their parents, because the parents were very young and they wanted to be friends with the pupils. And so when I was, coming in and laying down the rules for the kids, the parents were objecting to me telling people how to behave. So what we did was, we built a huge gate all around the school that's locked from 8:30 to 3 o'clock every day. And that's a safeguarding. The pupils were going to go on strike because they thought it was about us locking them in. It was. But it was also about making sure that the parents could not just walk in. We had situations whereby you were teaching, and if a parent didn't like something that you had done, you'd see them stand at your door. Now, you cannot safeguard your pupils or yourself in that situation. So you'll find the schools that don't be put off by those huge gates. It is a safeguarding concern, and it's making sure that the pupils in your care are protected. Because we all know, it doesn't matter what country you're in, that there are dangers outside, and it's about making a safe environment for your pupils to progress in learning, keep all of that negativity out. So you'll find there is real robust site security. Some schools in Newham, for example, doing the gate checks where the kids pass through, checking for knives and all of those sorts of things. I look upon it as a reassurance, quite frankly, as opposed to something to be too concerned about. Child protection arrangements for pupils. One of the things, and I'm sure very early on, when you go into the school, one of the things we're legally required to do in schools on the first day is to take you through the safeguarding procedures. And I'm sure you've probably already been through those. But as a rule of thumb, you never say to a child that you will keep their confidence. You never ever say to a child that they can tell you something in confidence, because they can't. You are the responsible adult. And if they do disclose, if they make a disclosure to you, you make sure that you tell another adult, preferably the child protection officer. And that's the person who's responsible for child protection procedures in the school. And you'll find out on day one, because legally you'll find out who that is. Also things like safeguarding monitoring of absence. If you find that after a couple of days one of the pupils in your lessons isn't coming into school, it's a responsibility that you have as a teacher to report that to your head of year, because there might be something going on at home that's preventing that pupil to get in. So the child protection officer may need to make a referral, for example, to check and do the follow-up. Most schools now have an EWO, an educational welfare officer, who does all of the follow-up and goes and visits the home and just check the pupil's safe if there's any concern. So it's just a matter of you making sure you're following that up. And so you'll get regular training throughout your year and years as teachers, because the safeguarding procedures very often change. Also, through the curriculum and health and safety measures, all of those things. But most essentially, it's about protecting and safeguarding you and the pupils. Okay, you're probably familiar with the different key stages, and so we're going to just focus now for the rest of the afternoon on learning and the different aspects that make up a good lesson and planning for that, what that might look like. So hopefully we'll finish at about 20 past 2, and then Catherine will take over. But just to take you through the key stages if you're not that familiar with them. But you start in Key Stage 1 in years 1 and 2 in England. And there are some national tests, although the government have largely moved to get rid of those. There's debates about whether pupils are still going to do SATs and national tests. But at the end of the day, there still has to be some measure. There still has to be some measure with the progress the pupils make from when they join the school to when they leave. So it'll either be through teacher assessments or through these national tests. At Key Stage 2, however, so while they're in primary school, most of you, you'll be Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 in the primary years. They will end Key Stage 2 doing a national curriculum test in Maths and English. And that's in years 3, 4, 5, and they'll do those tests at the end of year 6 in English and Maths. So there's a real focus now on reading and writing for pupils at that stage. And then they come to the secondary school, and based on whatever they've left primary school with, we'll be given targets for the progress that they need to make while they're in a secondary school. You will be given targets for your pupils in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 also. Mostly those targets will be done on baseline tests. So when they come in year 1, they might get a test on what their ability is then, and then you will get a target for the progress. I think in primary school it's two sub-levels per year of progress. So let's say, for example, they do a test, and the national curriculum level says that that pupil arrives at a 2B. It means that by the time that they finish year 1, they should be working at, let's say, a 3C. So they move up from a 2B to a 2A to a 3C. So they're divided, the levels, which range from 1 to 8, are divided into sub-levels. It can be 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C. But, so a C is almost at that level. So a 2C is almost to level 2. 2B is kind of a solid. And then 2A is moving into the next level, if you like. Yeah? So the aim for primary is to get as many of your pupils as possible. I think the government's talking about setting a target by 60 to 70% up to level 5. Level 5 is kind of the gold standard of primary school in England and Wales. They get pupils to a level 5. And then they're regarded as your most able pupils, your level 5s. If a level 5 pupil comes to our school, I expect that they will leave with an A or an A star. So they're really pushing for that. But many will be working at 4. If you leave primary school, so if you leave year 6 on a level 3, you're considered as below the national average, because the national average is around about 4. Yeah, so that's. But remember, schools are always striving to be above national average. So that's in the primary phase. Then they'll move into Key Stage 3. Now, depending on what school you go to, this will vary. Key Stage 3 in my school is year 7 and 8. And many schools will move to a 2-year Key Stage 3. Because the argument is, why spend 3 years studying a course, Key Stage 3, that the kids don't do tests in anymore, and actually the gold standard now is GCSE. So why spend 3 years at Key Stage 3 and only 2 years on the most important exams that will affect their future? So many schools have now changed and gone to a 3-year Key Stage 4. So you'll find that Key Stage 3 is year 7 and 8, and then they will take their options for GCSE in year 8. So at 12 years of age, they'll opt for their GCSEs, and they'll follow those for 3 years in year 9, 10, and 11. And I'd be very surprised if the schools that you go to still do a 3-year Key Stage 3. So most will move, but there's going to be a variation there. Now essentially they will do their exams at the end of year 11. However, what we do is we do lots of early entries, and I guess many of the academies particularly that you go to will do early entries. So for example, we've got a number of year 8s who've already got an A and an S star in their maths GCSE, and they're studying advanced maths in year 9, and will want to do A levels in year 10 and 11 because they're gifted. The argument is, why keep those kids back? Why insist that those kids do their GCSE at 16 if they're ready for it at 12 and 13? It's ridiculous. Even though the government, Michael Gove, it's the 3rd time he's been mentioned today, touring, he insists that the kids do their exams at the end of year 11. However, this is where he's kind of wrong-footed himself. He's given the academies freedom to make the decision. So while he insists that all pupils do their exams at the end of year 11, because we're an academy, and most of you will be working in academies in the primary sector, but you, as a school, have the right to determine when you enter the kids. So what we do is, and what many schools is, to kind of, play the game a little is, you'll enter kids maybe for their maths in year 9, and they probably won't all get the pass mark or their target. If they get their target, they might follow an advanced maths course or what have you. But if they don't, they'll redo